Hi everyone, it's Dante Ferrigno with Ferrigno Freedom Channel coming back to talk to you. The most recent question I had deals with the gallbladder, and the question specifically was how does one adapt to not having a gallbladder? And it must have been something I said in one of the videos. I don't know if I said that exactly the right way. And remember, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm just a guy on YouTube that figured out how to save my life with the lion diet. And it truly has saved my life. The thing about not having a gallbladder is that you don't have extra bile stored. And you can look in this picture up here. I'm trying to get my hand in the right place. The green part up there is the gallbladder, and that's where extra bile is stored. But bile is produced by your liver, and it's stored in the gallbladder for quick use whenever you have a lot of fat coming into your system. The little sphincter there at the end, in front of where my finger is, you can see where the green line comes into the duodenum, and that sphincter stays closed when you're not eating fat. But as soon as your body recognizes that fat is coming in to be digested, that sphincter opens up, and then the gallbladder squeezes out whatever gall is in there, or bile you should say, so that it'll come into play. But then you're also getting bile from the other side over there where it says common hepatic duct. That's where bile comes directly from your liver to go into the common bile duct to add to what the gallbladder is sending. Well, when you don't have your gallbladder, you don't have that gallbladder, and I don't even think you have the cystic duct anymore because there's no need for it, but you still have the common bile duct. And what'll happen when you're eating fats more and more, that common bile duct will expand to allow more room for bile as it gets used to the fact that you're not getting enough to digest your food, or you need more because your body is recognizing you're eating more. Now, the reason I had my gallbladder taken out is I had gallstones, but they couldn't really tell me what caused it or why it happened or anything like that. Well, I've come to realize since then, because I was doing a lot of low-fat eating back then, that not using the bile that's stored in your gallbladder is what causes them to solidify and become a sludge and eventually become stones, so that when your gallbladder tries to contract to squeeze out the bile, the gallstones cause pain. But that thing about not having that gallbladder there anymore, when I started doing lion diet, I was eating mostly leaner cuts of meat. For instance, I wasn't eating ribeyes initially. I hadn't learned at the beginning that adding fat was an important part of the diet in general so that you're getting your energy from your food. I was getting it primarily from the electrolytes I was adding from the salt to the meat and the salt in the water. But I've been doing more fat lately. But back then, I didn't know that I needed to add a lot of fat. But I did decide that I was going to eat all of the meat that I had, eat the fat that was there, because I had heard that it was good to eat whatever fat there was. Now, I was eating mostly New York strip steaks, and I had a lot of hamburger meat, and I had a lot of deer meat at the time, which is very lean. And my favorite at the time was New York strip steaks because they were more affordable than ribeyes. Since then, I've grown to love the ribeye because it does have a lot of fat and it helps. But initially, my body was getting used to eating the fat that I was eating in a smaller amount, which allowed me to use what bile was stored in the common bile duct to be able to help digest my fats. I never had any issues with digesting fat or getting diarrhea from the fat in the colon situation. I just went through the normal keto flu process, and before long, my stools were normal, and I never had any issues with my gallbladder. But it was probably at least 6 months before I started having ribeyes on a regular basis. And that was because of encouragement from other doctors on YouTube who have recommended things like Dr. Ken Berry and Dr. Sean Baker and Dr. Chaffee and Dr. Saladino. They've all recommended adding fat to your diet, and I grew to understand from people like Steak and Butter Gal also that have mentioned adding butter is a good way to add some fat. I heard Dr. Chaffee say today that if you're having a New York strip steak, that may not be enough fat for a normal person eating it. So he has to add a little butter to a New York strip steak. Well, I wasn't adding butter at the beginning. And I think that's really the key to being able to be on this diet or to start this diet, is not have too much fat at the beginning. There are some supplements that are supposed to be able to help with that. If you feel like you're having any difficulty adjusting to eating fat in your diet and you don't have a gallbladder, then you might look into some ox bile. Those are supposedly going to help you have what you need in your system when you're eating to already have those digestive enzymes that are necessary to break up the fat like the bile does in your gallbladder. I just hope that's helpful information for you and anybody else who may not have seen all the other people that are talking about it on YouTube. I know I got a lot of new followers here, and I'm thankful for each and every one of you guys. So keep coming back. I got a lot more to talk about. I'll see you next time.
If we pay extra, could we maybe get some grease or fat?